All right, guys, welcome back. Getting ready to go over chapters 15 and 16. So these will be real brief ones. We're getting in now to some of the ancillary things that take place at a hotel, which would be AV, and then if you have a kind of an admissions system, these are going to be more for your events at the hotel, probably being taken place or being taken care of by an outside entity. It could be the convention center, it could be a third party. So we're going to go through these very quickly, probably the shortest lecture of the entire semester. On the AV side of things, boy, the biggest thing, guys, is knowing what your capabilities are. Okay. So, for your select service properties, you're probably talking about needing AV for a small boardroom, right? So it's just projector, possibly a screen coming out of the ceiling, could be one that you put up yourself. It's going to be very, very low key, probably very low tech, right? You might have a sound system in house that you would use for any kind of social function, but nothing grand, probably nothing beyond the capacity for 75 people. Most select service properties don't dabble too much into that. Now, on the flip side, when you talk about your box hotels, again, your JWs, your Marriotts, your Hyatts, your Hiltons, the Crowns, the Omnis, what have you, these are hotels that have massive amounts of space. Hence, they have to have state-of-the-art technology to go in there when it comes to putting on their meetings. So what does that mean for you? Well, both as a sales manager and as a service manager, you have to understand the capacity and the abilities of what your AV department can do. Now, some hotels have their own AV departments. They're independent or they're part of the hotel, and they keep all the equipment themselves. Many hotels have Marquis Audio Visual that come in, or another third party that may live in the hotel but are a third party. Okay, and they're going to get a certain charge for anything that's related to AV. Usually, the hotel gets a percentage of it for obviously having them there, but there's a split on the revenue, if you will. What do you guys need to know? Well, you need to know power of your projectors, power of your sound systems. What rooms need extra sound? What rooms need a more powerful projector? Okay, these are the kind of items you're going to know. You're going to want to know well in advance before you sit down with the client. I've seen many of our client services managers have to come in after a sales manager has said, yes, you can have AV in this room. They stopped there. What they didn't tell them was that AV package to make that meeting as good as it can be is an additional $7,500. That's a shock to clients. We don't want that. We don't want them being blindsided where they think they're getting nickel and dime or that we hid something from them. We want to be upfront and say, look, you can have a basic, bare bones audiovisual package for X amount of dollars. We don't believe the quality is good enough. We think it should be better. To be better, you have to you have to get this upgrade. Otherwise, I would suggest not using this room if you can't afford that AV package. So those are the kind of things you're going to want to know. You know what the capabilities are, right? In a room that is only 400, 500 square feet, you can use a typical projector and probably be fine. In a room that's 1,000 to say 10,000 square feet, you can't do that, right? You can't use one screen. You have to use multiple screens. It can't just be your typical AV machine because you're broadcasting over a huge distance, right? It's got to have a stronger, signal's the wrong word, but a stronger, can't remember the name of it is, but basically the light, the light on there has to be able to go further, longer, stronger, what have you. So again, you're going to have to know this. Now, typically, you're going to have an AV person who's there kind of as your right-hand person. So what I always did was got very detailed with my client on exactly what they were looking for. And if there were certain rooms that they wanted that I knew could have problems with the AV, I would sit down and say, okay, what exactly do you want in this room? And to make sure I can provide it, I'm going to bring my AV person along on the site tour. Or I'm going to make sure I sit down with them right after the site tour saying, here's what the client asked for. I promise to get back to them on what that package would look like. Okay, so it's essential. I mean, we talked about that before. We don't promise what we can't deliver on. So again, with AV especially, whether it's sound, whether it is, the idea of projections, the idea of how many screens you would need, there's so many different elements when it comes to the AV side of things, light shows, microphones, whether it's a lanyard or a handheld or a lapel, all the different elements you have there. You have to understand this because that can make or break a meeting. And again, depending on what these people are meeting for, it could be a product launch. It could be announcing the top 20 sales managers. It could be announcing a new CEO. That has to go well, okay? That can't go bad. The sound can't quit on them, right? A microphone can't go dead. So you have to know these things. Your generation is going to see so much more than what I saw, right? We were just seeing apps coming into play and how they interact with a meeting. And so again, that goes back to AV being able to stream certain things. We had clients who had live tweeting. and they had a huge screen up that would show you all the tweets that were coming out from the participants. They could be voting on things. Hey, just went to seminar 251 put on by William Gully. You guys cannot miss this. This is fantastic. And they're putting all of that up so the other members or the other people who are there in attendance can pick up on this. They could be live streaming the entire thing, where they're shooting it back to the West Coast or the East Coast. Do you have the capabilities of doing that? What do you need? Do you have a bandwidth strong enough in your hotel? Do you have to actually boost that up? We had a number of conferences that came in and used a high amount of internet bandwidth because either they were selling in their booths and they had to have access so they could get on their websites and actually complete orders. They could have been presenting different products. Either way, you have to ask those questions because, again, it's just not a simple yes or no a lot of times. And you got to know the severity, you got to know the volume, and you have to ask those pertinent questions. And you got to immediately go back to your AV or your IT people and say, do we have the capabilities of doing this? Okay. So that's, again, AV kind of in a nutshell. The book definitely does a better job of going into the minutia. The only other thing I want to talk about on chapter 16, they talk about admission systems, right? And if you have ticketing or non-ticketing event, every hotel has a different philosophy on this. And so your bigger hotels will do events that are ticketed. Now, that being the case, it's not typical for the hotel to control the ticketing, right? It's going to be done by a third party. It could be the convention center. It could be the event planner. Again, it could be a number of different entities. The hotel typically doesn't control the tickets, but they will control how then the event is run with those who are presenting their tickets, right? Do they have security? Is the event staff going to provide ticket takers? Is there going to be, will call pickup? All these kind of elements now, all of a sudden you kind of got to start thinking about, okay, where does that fit in to how I set this event up, right? It's not just open the doors and people are coming in. You have to have certain doors manned. We have the certain doors that were locked from the outside so people can't sneak into the event. We have to work with the event organizer typically about security, especially if someone's paying to get into this. So again, those are kind of the one-offs. Those are the ones that are very, very unique. And I hope all of you get the chance to actually do those kind of events. They're incredibly fun. They're incredibly stressful, but you learn so much and you will look at things so differently from there on out. It also will prep you very well, again, as you grow in your career, especially if you start at select service and you move on to those kind of event hotels, your Vegas, your Atlantic cities, and a lot of your tier 1 cities will have those kind of events. Anything along the convention center lines will have tons of ticketed events, whether they're concerts or conventions or what have you. So again, read up on the book. He does a very good job of describing that. It's a fascinating world when you get into that, and it's also a very stressful world because hotels are always not set up to keep people out. Typically, hotels are encouraging and engaging, right? But in these certain events, you do have to have a minimum, if not a maximum amount of security to make sure that only those with a ticket can get in. So again, different concerns you have to have. Along with that, this chapter talks about 2 other events that are kind of fun to do if you get the opportunity. Companion events, and then children-oriented events. So imagine yourself at a resort, and the one I always use is Amelia Island down in Florida, right? If a group is coming down to do sales training, but these salespeople are all going to be the top 10% of the company. So let's say it's 200 sales managers are coming down. Because of the top 10%, this has kind of been an award, right? They're encouraged to bring a spouse, a companion, their families, right? So we get everybody down there. They're going to be in training at some part of the day. Maybe it's only half a day, and they get to enjoy the other half. So it's kind of a reward/special training, right? Well, Amelia Island does a phenomenal job of setting up activities for those who have come down but need something to do while the main person is there doing their training. So if I'm the husband of, my wife makes it to, if she's top 10%, she's in sales training from 8 o'clock in the morning until noon. And then at 1 o'clock, all the fun and games start up. So I need something to do for 4 hours, right? Amelia Island is phenomenal at saying, hey, we have spa treatments. We have 2 PGA level golf courses. We have trails you can hike. We have shuttles that take you into downtown. And it's an excursion for shopping. They'll arrange all of this. They actually are event planners for the hotel, for their clients. It's a phenomenal job. And so they are working constantly on not only taking care of those who are there to do work, if you will, but those who come with them. And the same thing on the child side. A lot of times what will happen is maybe the event is, one I always think of is there's going to be a red carpet event that night, right? All these sales managers are being recognized because they're in the top 10%. They're going to be given an award, and they want their spouses to be there with them, right? But it's a pretty high-end event, and so we want to limit it to no kids to be there under the age of 18. So now we have to have a function for the kids, and we have to probably have a number of functions, right? Your high school age kids, you probably still can't go yet. You don't want to be there anyways. And then you've got your middle school age kids, and then what I call like your young adolescents, right? 3 different events. One could be a gaming tournament, right? Anybody between the ages of 9 and 14 can go over here and game. It might be a high school type event where the kids are 15 to 18-year-olds, and we're having a movie night, or we're doing a fun and games night down the beach. And then the little kids might be doing a pirate treasure chest hunt, and it's going to be on the beach under the lights. So those kind of events are phenomenal for you who are creative and want to come up with something unique and different. Those are the places you want to go. They are, again, we're talking about a very, very high-end type property. Lots of money gets spent here, but they are well worth it for the people who are going there to be obviously rewarded. So if you can get on with those places, they're wonderful. Again, for those of you who are creative, you will thrive at those properties. Obviously, they're very coveted. A lot of people want those. So, get that in your mind ahead of time. Find out what the easiest path or what the best path is to get there. But they're wonderful. And I shouldn't say just those high-end resorts. You can have a typical meeting that's going to invite spouses, and they still want to have those things. So many times in Indianapolis, I've set up, I had contacts at those kind of locations say, okay, all of your training's going on from, say, 9 to 4. What do you want the spouses to do? Well, we want a trip to the Children's Museum, or we want a trip to the State Museum, or we want to go down to the track, or we want to go do a tour of Lucas Oil Stadium. So we would work with those companies to set those up and then give the information to the client, make some of the contacts. They would probably handle most of the details, although we would be there to help out in whatever way we can. So again, I wish all of you get that opportunity. It's a lot of fun when you get to work with those groups, because obviously everything is enjoyable. There's very little stress. They're having a good time. And it's fun to see their faces on that. So again, chapter 15 and 16, done, wrapped up. I will be back on probably in another week. I think we've got one more lecture, and then we are done, guys. So again, as always, any questions, call me, email me, text me. Never a bother. Always want to hear from you guys. Have a good one.